Welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk. I'm your host, Anthony Ray, and this is episode 66. And man, I've been waiting for this one here, man. Y'all listen, this dude I'm with today, when I tell you this man had me dying so many days at Walmart warehouse.
Oh, man.
In his little stint.
Okay, thank you.
This man here used to have me dying. Listen, I am not playing. And I just knew at some point I had to get this man on this podcast because the conversations we used to have back then in the back of F-Mod.
Thank you. Hey, F can be labeled in many phrases. Definitely.
Yeah. Man, in the back of F-Mod, boy, listen, the conversations used to be classic. And we used to get it in, man.
Yes.
Like, we really used to get it in. So this is just going to be a continuation of the conversations that we've had over the time that we knew each other, man. And but first thing first, I need for all my followers, everyone that supports the podcast, I need for y'all to subscribe to the podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Dad Can We Talk, Instagram at Dad Can We Talk. If you just want to keep up with the podcast and stay updated, go to www.dadcanwetalk.com. You can find all the episodes streaming there. All of them, they on the website. It goes directly to the website as soon as I post it. So that's where you can find every episode. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you get podcasts. You just go and type in Dad Can We Talk. You can simply just go to Google and type in Dad Can We Talk, and you will find the podcast there. But so appreciate all my followers out there, man. Everyone that support the podcast, man. It's big time support. I thank everybody out there that keep me going, keep me pushing, and keep me encouraged, man. But without further ado, man, so today I'm with my man Cedric Walker, and like I said, we met maybe a year ago.
Yeah,
it was about a year ago.
Yeah, a little year.
Yeah, good. Definitely was last year, and like I say, man, when I don't know, I think I ran into him in the mod one day, and I just heard that joke over there talking, and man, listen. Boy, I used to look forward to coming to work when that joker was over there, man. We laughed, we would talk, and we just had so many good conversations, man, in that mod. So many good conversations. So it's only right that I had him on the podcast so that we can continue some of those conversations. But
yes.
Without further ado, man, y'all, welcome to the show. My man Cedric Walker. What's good?
Nothing much, man. Young Ray, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast with you, man. I definitely got some things that I've been thinking about, and I was like, okay. Yeah. I say, this young man here got it moving. I said, I got to be on this here. I said, because it go down. I said, because, woo.
Yeah, it got to go down. And I know you got some stuff to talk about, so let's get to it. But first question I always like to ask on the podcast is, what was your relationship like with your dad? Talk about that.
For me, I have I grew up in a situation where my father and my mother were definitely not together. They dated briefly, and I was always told, my grandmother always say, I was born out of love. Yeah. Situations with my dad, my biological just never succeeded or never just progressively moved forward. But I learned to be a gentleman. I learned how to love. I learned how to connect. You know, my mother married an awesome man. His name is Victor Martin. Mm-hmm. Married him, and that showed me from the age of my mother married him. I think I was either 5 or 6, mm-hmm. and I lived in Sugar Hill, like the old Sugar Hill, where you couldn't come in after 6 o'clock. Not this new 1900 and other stuff. Yeah. June Jordan, don't come at me with that foolishness. But young Kodak, I grew up in the Sugar Hill with Larry Gaines, Cabo, Bell, Marty Allen, Alvin Gaither. I grew up in a time when the streets were streets, And you definitely, like, I remember going to Prairie View Elementary with one school bus.
Yeah. Okay.
So you had to fight to get on the school bus. Like, Larry Gaines was my big homie, so he was like, hey, you getting on the bus. I'm like, I ain't only one bus. It's like, well, you got to fight at the gate on the corner.
Yeah.
The Gaines, hey, Johnny L. Gaines, his sister, all of them, and hey, Vernon Maxwell, Greg Maxwell, all of them. Like, all my old heads, like, we had to actually fight to get on one bus to get to school.
Yeah.
So I learned from that point on that I had to, like, either survive or not. It's either focus or fold. Mm-hmm. So that was my thing. My dad rode a bicycle from Sugar Hill to Archer Road every day for 5 years to buy my mother a house. So that's where I got my work ethic from.
Yeah.
I just won't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that's real. He
told me,
that's real enough. That's right.
Greg on a bicycle. And I'm talking about, he didn't have no gears. He had a cruiser, a beach cruiser. My mother would cook him a bag lunch, and he would ride a bicycle from Archer Road to Sugar Hill every day, 5 days a week.
Man, shout out to Pops, man. For real.
I know. I tell him all the time. I said, but they don't make them like you no more.
For real, boy. Hey, shout out to Pops, man.
Thank you.
For real. You know, and I like to hear stuff like that because I think at times we don't talk about that type of stuff enough. You know, we always hear the stories about the dads that aren't there. Mm-hmm. You know, the deadbeats. You know, the ones that didn't do this, the ones that didn't do that. And I don't think we big up the ones that are actually there.
Yes.
And, you know, put in that work, you know, grinding like you saying, that, bro, listen, but that's a ride, bro, from Sugar Hill to Washington.
Yes.
That's a ride, boy, every day.
Matter of fact, where the new Marriott is located, my dad worked for a place called Atkins Technical. And he was a production manager over there. He rode a bicycle. My mother didn't have a car yet, but he rode from Sugar Hill to Archer Road 5 years and bought my mother a house and 2 cars. My mother had an 82 Honda Civic and a 79 Buick Bonneville. So he bought 2 cars and a house.
Yeah. Real grind. Okay. Yeah. Man, so how does that relationship that you had with him, like, how has that translated over into the way that you deal with your own children today?
Oh man, like my father Victor, he is like everything to me. Like, it's certain times when I don't understand, I take the time out to look at what he's brought to me, because blood don't make you family, love make you family. Straight up. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, that's my blood, I ain't supposed to cut my blood off. I have a lot of friends, like my partner Isaiah Mentor. He's raising 2 young men. I have my other good friend Quincy Ivory. He's out of Houston, Texas. He has 2 wonderful young children, Ian and Brian, 2 sons that are not his, but he take the time out with them and everything. And it's just the fact that I think a lot of men are labeled for not being there, but what about the men who put in the effort, who put in the work and do things like that? You know, shout out to my homeboy Derek Ford. Derek Ford is a great mentor. He take young men in and work with them. G. DeBose work with good men. Like, he always take the young kids out and give them something positive to give over to. You know, and matter of fact, my homeboy 30 years. I got a homeboy 30 years named Chuck Carter. He got married and he raised some little girls. He raised the little girls from, I think, one little baby girl till she was like 6. I think either she's 6 or she's 13 now. So he came in her life when she was like a baby and came in. So you have to pick up those dads matter in every capacity. Biological, non-biological, stepdads, mentor dads, like
all that.
Yes, I have a great mentor. His name is Michael Johnson. He runs a behavior clinic. And he's very well versed. He's the father of Tori Bell and Gabrielle Jenkins and Travis Bell. But he came in my life as my godfather, him and his wife, and they mentored me in a place when I was very deep and sunken. So and gave me guidance. You know, they're very very grounded in faith, and they work over at Compassionate. I think we're working at Compassionate with Pastor Denison before he passed. But definitely great people.
Oh yeah, man! Shout out to all of them, man. Shout out, you know, because I love hearing stuff like this because, like I say, you just don't hear it enough. You know, we just don't. You know, the old phrase, you know, give people their flowers while they're here. You know, we got to really give people their flowers because, you know, like I say, I feel like if people wasn't doing these things and they were whatever doing anything else, I feel like we would, we'll dog people out and we'll talk about them and say this and say that. But man, when people are doing good for you, especially people that's really there for you, man, we got to give people that love while they're here, man, because sometimes people ain't got to do the stuff they do.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we're not obligated. Especially for men, like you talked about, G the Bulls and all them. They ain't got to do what they do, but they do.
Yes.
And I don't believe everyone does it for the credit. 40 and all them boys. You ain't got to. They don't have to do what they do.
They do it because it's love.
They do it out of love.
Like it's a man, and I'm not sure if you even heard of him. His name is Billy Troop.
No, I never heard of him.
Billy Troop was actually the founder. Well, not the founder, but he's the first director of the Southeast Boys and Girls Club. This man took in so many kids. Every Saturday, he would come out of his pocket and pay for us. And then the city started giving him bag lunches. Matter of fact, your brother, father-in-law, Vern Williams, Pat Freeman, all them boys right there in Carver Gardens, they used to come over and jump the fence out of Kennedy Homes, all the old heads. They would come on that end, and Mr. Troop and Mr. Bean in the Southeast Boys Club, they would feed us on Saturdays sometime and open us to clean up. Kendrick McGlon, that's his uncle. They would let us to come in there and play basketball. That's why we got so much basketball talent over there at Southeast. Like sometimes you have to sit on the bench like 3-4 hours to get in the game. You have a specific job. Like those men who have those things. My nephew Gerard Jackson, I see he done jumped on here. Like if you couldn't play at Southeast, you couldn't do no well. But just the fact that those type of men were in our neighborhood. I gotta give a Chauncey Chapman, Marlon Jones, Sam Jones, Broderick Johnson, all them old heads that was in the Tony Sowell, all them old heads in my old neighborhood, Artrell Brockington, those are like big guys and big dads. They came in and they wanted back to Charlie Claude, they were just they was gangsters. They were old head gangsters, but they always tell us like, don't do as I do as I say. Go get that education. Sometimes they would be so gangster, like we would miss the school bus on purpose. They would get them old school cars with the twos and fours and drive us to school. Because they didn't want us out there on the block. I was like, you out here doing wrong. What you trying to? He said, don't be like me. Be better than me. Charlie Claude told me that many days. Actually, being from the ditch, from the Southeast. He's like, get your ass in the car. You going to school? I said, well, dang. He said, listen. Barry get his ass on the bus. You getting on the bus. And he'll drive us to Buick from Lincoln State. We think we finna go tricking off or go to the mall do something. You going to school. And you have to salute me in like that. Because what they call it, characters the content when nobody can do them for you. Will you do the right thing when nobody's looking? And that's what them guys had. They didn't know it a lot of times because they saw other things going on, but they had the right character and content always. The heart was in the right place.
That's real, man. Shout out to all the men, the stand-up men that's been here. I mean, I hear about a lot of the old heads, man, but shout out to the ones, that's still out there. I know it seemed like it'd be scarce at times, today, but I do believe that there are men out here that's still willing to do those types of things, and just shout out to those men. But let's get into how many kids do you have again?
A total, I got 6 girls and 2 boys. There's Waisa, there's Liz, there's Shamari, there's Tyler and Tyra, my twins. There's Janticia, there's Talibou, there's Yana, then there's Daphne. So them the Walker gang. I just had a wonderful day with them yesterday. Shout out to my son Tyler and Tyra. And they love them all. I had a great time. So, but my son, he wasn't able to make it, but just the fact that my girls, we had a good time anyway. My lovely lady Monica, she came in, and my other daughter, my bonus daughter BB, I want to tell her thank you too. She came out and showed love with her pop, so I got a bonus daughter now, so I'm enjoying that and embracing it.
Okay, so boy, you ate deep, boy.
Oh yeah. I enjoy it because for me being an only child, it's different. It's trying to find a place where you feel like you belong, and sometimes people love you for you become a love of convenience, not a love of obligation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with your children, you should be obligated to do certain things. And I've had to learn hard lessons. Even with my biological not being there, I still had to learn things. Well, hey, will people love you because they love you who you are, or love you what they can do for them?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think children are faced with that a lot of times. But I had a situation where I buried my grandmother in 2017. My grandmother died on my birthday.
Nice.
So my children came to me and said, you know what granddad at? And I was like, huh? I was like, where's granddad at? I said, well, he was just say, well, he knew grandma was sick, didn't he? I said, yeah. And I was like, yeah, he true. So they said, well, if he knew grandma was sick, why did he leave? I said, I don't know. And my children said, well, if he didn't love his mother and his brother, who was there for him before you, how can he love you? And I had to think about that. For a child to give me that unbiased, just unconscious opinion, I was like, wow. And I was like, the people who have always been in his life and he didn't have a chance to love and he didn't know how to love or didn't really give a God for. And I was like, dang. And I understood that being a love of convenience or a love of obligation. And it was hard to fathom that.
Damn. Yeah, that's real, no? That's real, bro. Man, talk about. I want to go back to the early days, man. How did you deal with? Because you was telling me the ages of the kids. Tell me them ages one more time.
29, 28, 27. Those my first two kids are 7 days apart. December 29th and January 5th. And then I got my twins, my triplets, they are 30 days apart.
And they 26, right?
They 26.
So you were having babies every year.
I was throwing that thing like Dan Marino. I listen. I think about sometimes I was like it was a horrible pull-out partner. I was like, but because you have to think I'd be like, well, all we had back then, we had a health department. You get you a shot, you was going out there just throwing it, and then you like, now you got these diseases. You be like, man, I had black, beach week, orange crush. You was young. We was young back then. Going to black beach week. They give you that little brown bag full of them little Durexes from the health department. You throw that thing. You living reckless. Gerald Mingo, you know what I'm talking about. He on the fam. Gerald Mingo, you know what I'm talking about. Hey. So you living wild. And plus I've been, 2001 I got into the promotion business.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tony Hall, the Royal Blue, my second home. So I ain't have I had no regard.
Yeah. So you out there just throwing it out there in the ocean.
Like a loop dancer.
So you was Nick Cannon before Nick Cannon.
Pretty much.
Okay. So that so how was that, dealing with the? Cause I had my last two back to back. They're like 10, 11 months apart, and that was rough, bruh. And that was with my wife. So talk about that experience, just doing that, and you had it. I had it only 1 year like that, but you had them.
Listen.
Experience, bro.
I grew up. I hustled. I hustled, and I had my wife. I got married young. I was 18. My wife was 29. I was young when I got married.
Oh, that boy was.
So when I got married, I was like, hey, I got to figure out something, and then I end up stepping out, and I had my daughter. So my wife was like, listen, we're going to do this. You're going to keep this baby. And, because back then they'll jump on you. Both of them will jump on you.
Yeah.
Catch you at the village traffic somewhere and flutters and beat the knock at you. But I was like, okay. So I ended up taking care of those two young ladies. And, that was one of the blessings for me, And then my son came along, Shamar. And that was, I kind of like settled in. And then I wanted to move away from the streets and my big brother Jimmy and my homeboy Spody and a lot of my partner, my cousin Leo from Village Green, my Village Green crew, VGP. I definitely learned to wean away from certain things because I lived in Hampton Court out by 441. but I hustled in Village Green.
Yeah.
So, and then me coming from Lincoln State Southside, I had a killer mentality. So
Yeah.
I had them boys from Fifth Ave and across the street. You know, I just had a real different mentality. It was like, we ain't gonna let them come over here. You ain't gonna let me do nothing.
Yeah.
I go in your door. I go knock on your door and hit you in the face and walk down the tree trail.
Yeah.
And go holler at my kids. We waiting on you. Them 11 Terry boys and all them boys. I think for me being a father, that grounded me to understand that I couldn't do certain things the way I used to do them. And then certain times I felt like all I had was my children. Even with situations when I felt like I was abandoned. Mm-hmm. And my wife didn't always get along sometimes. I still took the children over anything else. I took all 3 of my children. I'm gone. I don't need nothing. Oh, you ain't taking the kids? Watch me. Debo. But everybody always say to men, he don't want you. That ain't your dad don't care about you. But I cared about my children enough to take my children with me. Mm-hmm. I found me a babysitter over on 8th Ave. I paid for daycare, and I rocked it like that. So, and I felt blessed to have that. And my children remember that. You know, children when they're young, they record everything. Mm-hmm. They like them Fisher Price little mic and the little recorder set. They record everything.
Believe it.
But for them to appreciate me and love me so much, I tell them all the time, I was like, well, why y'all remember that? It's like, Dad, we remember you took us and we got in the cab and we went off. And I was like, well, dang. I was like, I didn't know y'all remember that. But they remember everything like that. And I think I was so fortunate to have that.
That's real. That's real, man. And see, that's the one thing that, like you say, it does. That's the type of stuff that even keeps me grounded. Mm-hmm. You know, knowing like, at times I do be tripping. Like, you know, I be tripping at the house, doing this, doing that. But my kids always keep me where I need to be. You know, you know, I got an 8-year-old. So my 8-year-old, she be upfront with me and blunt about it. You know, even just this morning, you know, I last night, you know, I was gone. I was out. I was with my dog. We were watching the game. Mm-hmm. So they was out with my wife all day. So when they got home, you know, they like, well, Daddy, you know, where you at? They called me and I was like, man, I'll be home or whatever. So I guess they waited up for me or whatever. By the time I got home, they knocked out. So when we got up this morning, she was like, oh, Daddy, I was waiting for you last night. And she was like, well, I know you probably left because you was bored. I was like, well, not really. I was chilling. Like, she was like, oh, so you wasn't sad? I was like, nope.
Wow.
And then she was like, oh, that make me sad, Daddy, that you ain't. I ain't saying it like that. You know, like, you know, but and then it just made me think, you know, she just want to know that I missed her. She want to know that, you know, that I care. And I was just like, I mean, you ain't sad.
And this is the thing that gets it. I have my middle girls, Tisa and Tara. But my baby girls, Yana and Daphne, if something wrong with me, they know. And it's like I tell them, I say, well, dang, my daughter feel me more than certain things do. And they'll make you feel like, well, hey, Dad, did you not understand? Like, I was missing you and I was longing for you. When they pick up the phone and call you, Dad, what you doing? I have a baby girl that lives in Sarasota. She'll pick up the phone and say, Dad, I want to see you. And I'll drive to Sarasota and just to spend time with her and have an ice cream date with her, just to know that she's loved and cared for.
Yeah.
Fathers have always gotten a not solid rap, a not solid situation to say, well, your daddy can just up and leave. That ain't me. And it's like, you don't always feel that way. You like, don't ever tell my daughter that. You love them unexpectedly. You love them unconditionally. You love them without regard. That's why when I boost a song, don't let nobody tell you different. Daddy love you, and that's me and my girls love that to death. And I tell them, don't never let nobody tell you that your dad don't love you. Even if a man comes into your life, because you're going to be older one day, let them understand that, hey, I have a father. You can't just play with my feelings, because you're not going to say, oh, nobody don't love you. I'm the only one that love you. My daddy love me, and I can leave the situation at any point in time, because we are the foundation of what matters. My daughter BB, I don't call her my stepdaughter. I call her my bonus child. She's my daughter still. I speak that into existence because children feel those things. Yeah. They start to become a certain antithesis. They start to come, and you know, even when you come in as a supposed step parent, you're trying to find a way to open the gate for their love key. I tell my new wife Monica all the time. I say, Monica, I said she's my daughter, and there's no way around that. I look to love her. I look to learn her. I look to be closer to her, because they understand. And with women are always told that they're not going to be, they're not strong enough. They're not willed enough. They're not grounded enough. Women of color have always had the perception that they're not smart enough. They have to take a background and see. Well, you got to get somewhere. She got to have a well-rounded backside for her to progress somewhere, and that's not the case. I know many smart, educated women. My friend Nikki Ramirez, Tanya Sowell, real women of color. Paris Owens on the police force. I was around Derry Lloyd, but it's a lot of great women. My friend Rayvon Thomas, she runs the store at Ross. Great lady, always a woman of character and content. I've what's the lady name? She used to be a school educator, Dr. McNeely. Dr. McNeely. Yeah. My friend Shanae Jackson. She's a powerful, the accidental activist. But these women have so much energy and power in their voice, and sometimes they don't have to speak in their voice; they speak through their actions. But people don't always see that, so we have to keep that focus in our daughters of that nature.
That's real. How has it been different? What would you say one of the biggest differences in between raising young boys and raising young girls?
Boys, when we were growing up, and because they have to say time now. Yeah. They've took prayer out of schools. They've taken the fight out of homes, because children were told that their parents couldn't talk to them a certain type of way. If your parents talk to you a certain type of way, give us a call. Call this number, DC up. But if I'm telling you the right for you to be, to be a person and understand that your repercussions and directions are going to affect others, why is that wrong for me and the parents? Matter of fact, me and my wife laugh all the time. Her mother told her sister, "Hey, if I can't talk to her, she can't stay here. So pack her clothes and she can go with you." But my sons understand that. Listen, there's a right and a wrong way. I'm gonna deal with you on a stern note. But my daughters, I give them the business as well too. Sometimes I feel like my girls are stronger than my boys. Yeah. My oldest daughter, Issa, she has three kids. My daughter Liz, she has one son. But their will to never fold, relentless. My daughter, her boss man told her, once I put you out this job, you're gonna be on the corner homeless. My daughter said, "You'll never make me homeless." My daddy named Cedric Walker. "You'll never put me homeless." So she went to the store, bought 4 cases of hair, and started braiding. Yeah. She was making $160, $140 a head braiding hair. Yeah. So her boss was saying, like, "Oh God, like I thought you no, it's not gonna happen." And I teach my girls that all the time. You either gonna focus or you either gonna fold.
Straight up. And it seems like you're still active, even with the adult children, and I love that, because like what's your thoughts on the whole, you parent your children to the 18. What's your thoughts on that right there?
If you don't parent your children past a certain point, you have a block. There's 0 to 6. That's when you're building a certain you're nurturing them with the fundamentals and basics of what they need and how to grow. From 7 to 12, you're giving them the tutelage and things to go in there. Reverend Deacon Banks, you giving them the tools to grow and foundation. Like my dog Danky, he has Nadia. She's
Shout out
baby.
To my boy
Danky. Yeah. But then you have that 6 to 12 where you're teaching them hey, I understand that these obstacles are going to come at you, but I'm here to help you maneuver and show you, hey, you're going to have to differentiate things from what goes left and right. There's certain friends that are going to be fake. There's certain going to be friends that are phony. You know that when you go from 5th grade to 6th grade. The friends you had in 5th grade at Rollins ain't going to be the same kids you're going to have at High Bishop. Yeah. Because they're going to be different. Girl, I'm brand new. Yeah. And then when you transition from that 13 to 18 or to 23 when you're going off the fam, like what they told us in school, when look to the left of you, look to the right of you. Some of these people ain't going to be here. All right. and those things still go. So just the fact of knowing that you have to parent those kids past 18. My bonus daughter, BB, she got 1 more year in high school. She going to school. And like I was telling her, listen, I'm here to help mold you. I love you unconditionally because I love your mother. So there's no reaching no boundaries with my love. So my thing is, I need you to understand that I'm going to help you. She didn't know what school she want to go to. I said, I'm going to show you how to go to schools. I picked up the phone, called my good friend Nikki Ramirez. Hey, I need this young lady to go somewhere. I don't know if she want to go to Howard University. I don't know if she want to come to University of Florida. If she want to go to FAMU. I want her to understand that these things, my love doesn't come with an age limit. And even my oldest girls, I tell them all the time, I give them a hug, I kiss them on the cheek. I say, you know what? She said, I know, Daddy, love. We grab each other in the face. And, you know, I tell my daughter all the time, like, there's no age limit with my love.
Yeah, straight up. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. You know, that's what I strive to do, you know, as my kids continue to grow. And, you know, I never really understood that, because that ain't something that I experienced, you know, well after 18. You know, my mom was still there, bro. Yes. You know, still to this day, I'm 32.
12 toes?
Man, what? Well, my mama ain't playing, boy, you know, and it ain't that I look to her to do certain things. I just know that if I ever need her, she will be there, bruh, without a question.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. And people call me, I have 3 mothers.
Yeah.
I have my biological mother. Her name is Judith Martin. She grew up with me, and she took the time out with me. But my mother had a hard time. But my mother was able to find a woman. Her name is Samantha Ralston. She married my biological father. My mother gave her to her when I was like 19, maybe 23 months. This woman wasn't able to have children, but she loved me like she birthed me her own. And I have another mother. Her name is Lois Johnson. That's my godmother. But from me being a young man to letting me understand work certain places and certain parts that I needed in my life, as far as Christianity, leadership, growth, fundamentals, structure, those pieces and stuff were added because I was in the streets living wild. You know, I'm the dude. I was so wild. Matter of fact, Danky know, Danky was like my protege. Like I was Craig and we was on the episode of Boys in the Hood. But I was just like living wild, like really wild. And I tell my children, I never want y'all to feel that. But just the fact that these 3 women are the apex of my life, that no matter how far I go, I still acknowledge them. I acknowledge them. I acknowledge their greatness. I acknowledge the leadership. I acknowledge the foundation of whatever they brought into my life. Because always, love doesn't make you family. Blood don't make you family. People like, that's my cousin, that's my mama. Well, I can't deny that this woman took me in at 19, 23 months, and she couldn't have children. My mother, my second mother, she had my sister when she was 37. And she was about 37, almost 40. And she had my sister. So she thought she couldn't have children. But she didn't. She never wavered. I could pick up the phone, school clothes, whatever I needed. Her and my mother are best friends. And I couldn't pay for that type of love. I think I'm a cry. I think I on Mother's Day I cry sometimes because I feel like what I've endured and what I've gained has been so love and so pure and unfathomable.
That's real, man. Shout out to all the moms out there, man. Shout out to mom.
Mama Ray.
Yeah. Shout out to all the moms, the wives. You know, all the women that help us. You know. And that's something that I never want to forget. You know, I know that this is Dad Can We Talk, and I know we all about dads and showing love to dads and highlighting dads, but that does not mean that we forget the mothers. We have not forgotten y'all.
Black mothers are the DNA of everything in this world.
That. All that. You know? So I just want to put that in there, man. You know, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. You know, and y'all are what keep us up. A lot of times, you know, and we just don't want y'all to feel like, you know, we leaving y'all out. Because I have had women say that they be feeling left out. It's not that. Trust me, it's not that. You know, we just need our little space, you know. But we do appreciate y'all, for real. So, let's get into this, man. Okay. What's one aspect of parenting you believe that you could be better at? That you want to be better at?
I think my aspect of parenting is I want to do things different with my grandchildren than I did with my kids. I think for me, I had a lot of I got a lot of ass whooping. Yeah. Because I wanted to do it my way. Yeah. And my dad used to tell me all the time, like, hey, this gonna hurt me more than hurt you. I told that nigga one night, give me the belt. I told him 50 morning, I said, give me the belt. And he turned out the room. He turned out the room. My mama said, what's wrong with you? And he nigga said, that nigga told me to get him the belt. I said, you gonna go in there and beat his ass? so I was like, hey, but I just want to have a different. I just want to have a different move in a different way, because I understand that these children are brought up different now.
Yeah.
What is social media driven isn't morally and ethically right.
Yeah.
Like my boy Danky. Danky will burn. He should be a truck driver. Danky will burn a gas. He will come from the east side of Kennesaw, Camp Creek, come through Dunwoody, come down 75. He gonna hit Tifton. He gonna come through. He gonna burn all the way 75, and he gonna come all the way to Gainesville, bump through Gainesville, wave at his grandma, kiss his grandma, shoot down south, and tend his baby girl. Now he gonna bust a U-turn 10 minutes later, and go back up the road. He gonna bust right back up the road, and then go up and see about his baby girl Nadia.
Yeah.
There's no. People always say, "Well, I gotta find a way to get to it." No, if you're a dad, you're gonna find a way, and you learn that. Like, we were not taught to say, "Well, hey, we're gonna we have the thing where parents are like, I don't know. Well, is this the right way? Let me figure it out. I'll find my way through." No, you're either gonna get it right or get it wrong. But for these kids, I want to have a better sense of patience with them, and I know these kids are so distraught and so turned around. They telling you now it's okay to be non-binary.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that. I said, so you mean I can birth my son as a boy, but he can grow up and say he's non-binary because social media is giving him this dysfunctional way to say, well, hey, that's not okay. You don't have to be a boy if you don't want to. Yeah. You don't have to be a man if you want to. I said, haven't we learned enough from watching the Kardashians being demasculized?
Damn. For real. That's real. Man, and the reason I like to always ask that question, because I believe that, when I'm the type of person that's I like to look inward. I think it's easy to point out the flaws in other people. It's very easy to look at what other people aren't doing. It's just it's easy, bro.
Yes.
It's so easy. But I don't think a lot of times we do that with ourselves and see, like, where can I be better? Like how can I do better as a dad? How can I be better as a husband?
And it's a good point you say that. Because if you start looking at the man in the mirror, you'll see that the man in the mirror is you. Yeah. So, like I said, this day and time, 2001, we didn't have a strong social media following. Mm-hmm. Now that we have a social media following, these people who would never confront you will ostracize you, belittle you, and dismantle you socially, but will never say anything to you personally. Mm-hmm. They'll see you in the store. Won't say nothing to you, but you had so much to say online.
They'll eat you alive online.
They'll eat you alive online. That's like, I seen where they had a guy on the shade room, he beat his son for stealing out the store. Mm-hmm. Spanking him. Oh, he's such a bad parent. Mm-hmm. But when the white folks get behind them bars, they're going to beat him the same way. Mm-hmm. So how can you tell me that parenting is wrong? Mm-hmm. Vars, what's going on? If Vars see his son doing wrong, Vars going to go probably find a room, lock the door. Hey, boy, you got too much talent. You're not doing this. Yeah. Vars ain't gonna say, well, boy, listen here. Social media say you trending. Yeah. Hey, boy, you stole out the store. You trending. That's not gonna happen. Mm-hmm. He's a father. He's a father of all his children. Mm-hmm. He not gonna say, well, hey, Facebook and IG say you're doing good numbers. Mm-hmm. You stole out the store. Don't do that. You got talent. You playing. You're doing good things on the field. You got a good direction. Mm-hmm. He's not gonna uphold the foolishness of what social media has to say. And that's why I say people will judge you, but if it's time for them to put on your shoes, they'll never fit. Mm-hmm.
Straight up. And I think another good thing is when you can look inward and deal with your own self, what other people say really don't matter as much. because you do that enough for yourself. You know, like ain't nobody like I always say for myself, like it ain't too much people can really tell me about myself because I already be knowing. Like you point out a flaw in me, and I already know. Like I mean, I know that. And I'm trying to.
I'm working on me.
Working on that. You know, it's and you just got to be honest with yourself and be real. You know, because you know as soon as when you get to the point where you feel like you've arrived, you know, people think because I got a dad podcast, I'm some perfect dad. No, that's not the case.
I'm figuring it out every day.
Every day, bro. Literally. You know, every day I'm trying to be better. And I got the podcast. Shoot, I need help from other dads that might know something that I don't know.
Somebody can give you an unbiased, unbasis opinion for what they feel like, what direction you could go. Because certain days you may not feel grounded and know which way you want to be. Right. You're not the same person you wake up to be every day.
Straight up.
Hey, I was stern this day. I was compassionate the next day. Wednesday, I may just be all loving on everybody. Mm-hmm. That means I don't love it. I don't love my kids. I don't love my wife. I don't love my life. But there's certain days that I don't know how to go. There's certain days I can't figure it out.
Man, that's the next direction I want to go. Talking about, and I think this is something we don't talk about enough. Also, the mental health of dads. You know, because I think people talk about the mental health of moms a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, the things that moms have to deal with on a daily. And I think we get overlooked because we're men. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be, you know, the one that holds down the fortress. You know, we got to be always up. You know, we got the S on our chest. As men, I don't think people look at things that we go through as men, you know, always having that pressure to have to take care of everybody. Always having to make sure, and which that's our responsibility.
That's our responsibility.
That's our responsibility, but sometimes we struggle with that, and when we're struggling with it, at times we don't know where to go to. It's like, you know, the one meme that always go around on social media where it says, "Black men, who do you turn the vent to?"
And you have that correct. I've learned from being out here in this world a little. I'm almost 50, so I've been out here in this world doing all right. I've been doing decent, but a lot of times I couldn't figure it out. A lot of black men are dealt with displacement to where they couldn't find out who is my father. Was my father there? They have certain pieces of detachment. People have dads in the home that were never there. How do you say my daddy was in the home and my mom was married for years, but he was never there? Me and my dad never had a real conversation. He's never been to a football game. He's never come see me play. We've never had a fishing trip. We've never been camping. We've never had a Godfather's pizza. We've never been to Aladdin's castle. Yeah. So, you know, those are type of things that young men deal with, and it feel like I was loved, but my mother gave all the love in the house because my dad was mentally detached and emotionally detached from the house. So am I detached from my family as well too? Me as a black man, getting a family together, loving, nurturing, molding my daughters, building my sons, and how am I to deal with the mental aspect of what direction do I go when I'm feeling lost? Women go through birthing children, postpartum depression, mental anguish. They have backlashes of things that they've dealt with in their womanhood. But men, they don't have those things. Like, even I know young men, I've had a session where I sat in with some young men who were molested. And their mothers was in the home. But they were molested as men, and they deal with their sexuality on that. And it's like, well, dang, did you tell anybody? No, Mama, I couldn't tell anybody because I couldn't show that I was weak. You had to find a place to where you were feeling okay, and what was you dealing with.
Sit down. Nah, that's real though, man. And I just think that's something that, you know, I think we should focus on more. Just really understanding the things that I just think we got to be there for one another, because like I know even for this podcast, you know, I wanted to create this as something that could be that for men, where we can come here and we can talk and we can be honest and real with each other and talk about the things that we have going on, because I know I ain't the only person that be going through it.
Oh,
sometimes I feel like that, honestly. Like, I feel like, dog, I'm the only person that be going through this, dog. You know, like, I'm the only person that deal with this internal, you know. I was talking with my dog the other night, just telling him, like, at times, bro, like, I think, bro, I be dealing with, like, just trying to figure out, like what'll happen if I die one day. You know, like,
listen,
bro.
Listen.
And that thing be
who will raise my children?
What?
Who
every day?
Who will put the same engine to my girls and love them unequivocally, like there's no other? Like, who will tell my son? Will somebody be there for my son if my son wants to get married? Will that man step up and be there? Will he love my wife like I love her? Mm-hmm. Will he take that time and aspect and say, well, listen, my daughters, will he walk my daughters down the aisle if I should happen to perish or pass? I have those conversations with my wife Monica all the time. We laugh, but she's like, you're not going anywhere. I said, yeah, but I worry because these children still need guidance and direction, and in certain questions they're gonna need some type of foundation to go to. Because a lot of times it's not I tell my son just had we have children, and it's like and I tell him, like, you got to be careful how you do these things, because someone's gonna be out here and gonna have to raise your son. If you should be out here in the fools and somebody kill you, stray bullets, whatever. But you have to understand that these consequences and repercussions it's called karma. But definitely have an inner peace, have an inner love, and just try to move forward.
Straight up.
Be careful.
Straight up. That's real, man. I want to go here, man. This is something that we used to talk about at the warehouse. Okay. And I had to...
Oh, Jesus. Hey, Miss Mosley, how you doing?
I had to bring this up, man. The one time we were talking about, and we finna go into some marriage stuff.
Okay.
But we were talking about the one movie you had me watch that time, where the man, I think he allowed his wife to have sex with the man. I think for $1 million, something like that. Yes, bro. Man, bro, listen, boy, that right there. I remember I went home, I had that conversation with you, and I'm like, man, this man talking crazy. Let me go watch this movie.
Yes. because
let's go there, bro.
Yes.
So wait, to catch the people, what's the movie called? I can't remember it. What's it called?
I'm trying to think. I know it had Demi Moore in it, and it had Robert Redford in it, and it was I'm trying to think. Somebody know the movie.
I can't. So they went to the casino, I think.
Yes.
And it was a married couple, and some rich man ran into the wife.
Yes.
And he wanted to
sleep with
the woman.
Yes.
He knew she was married or whatever, and I think he offered her $1 million?
$1 million cash.
And they needed the $1 million for something happened. The reason why they needed the $1 million. And so the woman brought it to the husband. And bruh at first was like, no.
Nah, we ain't he wasn't doing this.
Long story short, the women ended up sleeping with the man.
Yep.
For the money. And the man thought everything would be good.
Yeah, he thought he could shake it off.
And that thing just, it bothered him. And I remember when you brought it to me, I was saying that, like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that I gave up my wife for that. And now mentally I got to think about that all the time now.
Okay. Let's throw the curveball. No. Let's throw the curveball. I know Dang is somewhere. Listen. Yeah. Okay. If the roles are reversed, and Oprah came and offered the bag. It ain't like she ain't got it. Yeah. Do you think your wife would say, "Hey, my family, our children are secure. We need to be secured. We got a couple things. You working? You overexhausting yourself. You picking up extra shifts. Do you think that your wife will be able to? You think she gonna get a bag up? You think she gonna say, "Hey, baby, it's only one night"?
Man,
You throw it in here pretty well. Bring on lines. Stedman right there, he know. And Gail in the corner looking like this. Is like, girl, if he.
Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro.
Don't listen.
I just pray I ain't in a position like that, because it's like I feel like, I mean, from my perspective, like, if I know that, you know, me giving it up my wife for that, I just feel like, dang, like I just gave my wife over to another man, and I'm looking at it from a spiritual aspect also.
Yes, soul ties,
you know, and it's like, how would I feel as a man, bro, knowing that I just gave up my wife, the purity of my the purity of my marriage bed,
yes,
bro, for filthy lucre, like for money, something that.
But you have to think. Now, I'm going to break it down to you in the cultural aspect. Black women have given their bodies to save their lives. So to save their sanctity. Just think about our ancestors who were sleeping with Sally Hemings, was sleeping with Thomas Jefferson, and all these other black women who were nurturers and mothers. They was breastfeeding white children.
They were forced to.
But it came natural to them because they were nurturers. They were already feeding their children. But then they were breastfeeding white children and taking care of them just to save their livelihood. The white man said, if you don't give it to me, I'll kill your whole family down there. So if that is a small piece of our ancestry, women, that's what they say, women are built stronger. Their DNA blocking their mechanism is built stronger. Listen, blow me away, because ain't nobody going up in Monica. Listen, babe.
I don't know, boy. Like, cause it's like, I don't know how, I be thinking like, I just couldn't do it, bro. Like, and just looking at that movie, man, that thing tortured that man.
Yes.
All that man was thinking about is his wife getting beat down.
Thank you.
What? I ain't finna be. I just can't do it, bro. I ain't thinking about another man like you. Listen, what was before me? What was before me? But here and now, what, the last 12 years?
Like, you going with Reverend Carl Anderson to the upper room? The upper room.
I'm going to the upper room.
Listen, but you have to understand, if the roles, will you do whatever it takes for our family? And that's how she looked at it. They needed the money. Yeah. They were financially in shambles. Yeah. $1 million cash. There's no way nobody's going to turn that around. Your morals and your ethics are going to be challenged in everything you do. If you chastise your child in public, you still going to be challenged. Yeah. Whether you step out on your wife, you have a conversation with your wife. Listen, perfect scenario. Allegations and innuendos are just like a conviction. Because you already crucified in the public media. Mm-hmm. so what else are you trying to get? Shoot. You've already been convicted in a room full of people you will never know.
Yeah, dog. It's gonna have to be a no for me.
Hey,
it's gonna have to be.
Hey, listen.
It's gonna have to be a no.
Listen,
man, dog.
I tell people all the time, if you ever want your judging question, put $1 million cash in front of somebody.
Yeah, dog. That's a hard one.
He said it's a no for me.
It's a no for me, dog. And that's just for me, because I know me. I know where my mental gonna be at.
Yes.
Know? Like, I feel like a sellout. You know, like, I have the money. The money ain't even gonna feel the way it's supposed to feel, because I know what I did to do it. It's like,
so if you did it and nobody knew.
But I know.
I'm saying if nobody else knew. Just say you was able to get $1 million and nobody else knew. And nobody and you got a lawsuit. Just say you got a lawsuit from Walmart and nobody else knew, but you had to hit something. You took her through there. So you think you
consciously, dog. Like, and I say that because I know what my conscience be like. Even just for small stuff, bro. Like, I be like, just.
You're not gonna forgive yourself.
I struggle with that, bro. That's something that I truly struggle with. I struggle with forgiving myself. I struggle with, you know, I'm my biggest critic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, this something, and when I say this, like, I'm dead serious. Like, I'm so serious. Like, even with just me not being just feeling like I ain't the best husband I can be all the time.
Yeah.
Not even I done stepped out on my wife or anything. It's just sometimes I feel like I'm not the best husband that I could be, you know, and I don't treat my wife the way that I know that I can. I get so down on myself about that, and it's something that I consciously deal with every day, bro. Like every single day, like when I'm at work in the mods, bro, and when it's just me, just me and myself, I struggle with them thoughts. Like, dang, like, bro, like I could do better than what I'm doing, you know.
You know what? And that's a trigger mechanism for black men. We always have been taught certain things, and they were like overlooked. But for us to say things now that we see and we're older, you know, our dad used to come in, sit down, read the newspaper, look at the news, see Paige Beck shriveled up behind, still on TV. You know, we still struggle with those things. But just the fact that we look at it now, we know better because we're fathers, we're mentors, we're role models. We look at things in such different ways now. Even having conversations with our sons and daughters. Like me, I come home once a week. You know what I do? I cut off all the lights in the room and I slow drag my wife. Alexa, I slow drag my wife because I have to give her that time. I'm up in the morning, 4 a.m. I don't come home sometime like 6. But just the fact that I need to give her quiet time and make sure that she feels appreciated, because when her mental health is always together, when she's has set in the house, my house run peaceful. Clothes done, house clean, pooches fed. I got empanadas and my I'm getting a dog Monchito. Like, hey, I'm like my life is good when the queen is right.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't ask no that. Brother Bell.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I struggle with that. That's why I had to see my dad. My dad yesterday, Michael Johnson. I seen him and I told him like I need to have a counseling session with him because certain parts of my mental detachment is not always there because you're here to protect and provide.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there am I supposed to do? Is that all my life is supposed to be about? Protect, provide. Where's the nurturing? Who do I have to lean on? When I need to cry? Like sometimes Christmas, holidays, I miss my grandmother who died on my birthday. Where can I put my tears into? I can't cry on my children. My children can't see my armor chinked. Superman, they can't see the armor chinked. You know? Where do I go to? And they feel like you're weak. But I mean, where's the quiet space of the zone where I can go to as a man? And that's why I tell my dad, Michael Johnson, he's I think he got like 5 doctorates, 3 masters in mental health, social work, psychology. I told him all the time, I said, Dad, I love you because I don't know what to do. But he always say, don't put no more on yourself than you can bear. You have to understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to understand that, listen, you're a man too. Pick up the phone, call somebody. I've known people who blown their brains out and was trying to call people. Oh, he ain't on that. But you missed that call. Matter of fact, my good friend Maintain McQueen, he lost his nephew. Suicide. I was right in my house. He blowed his brains out in front of his mom and his little brother.
Damn.
And that triggered me because I just seen him the other day with his uncle. He go down the sidewalk and kiss his grandma. That's a hurtful feeling. When a young man don't have no direction to go to and they got to put a bullet in their brain because they don't know which direction to go to.
Straight up. That's real, bro. Some real stuff, man, you know, and this, like I say, this stuff that I think about, and I've been dealing with it hard the last week, bro, just really been struggling, bro, honestly, dog, like, just really been struggling with, you know, like, I feel like on the outside, everything be looking good, you know, I'm finna get my bachelor degree December, you know, I got the podcast going, you know, got my job, you know, all right, Dad, you know, take care of my kids, and people see how I am with my wife and this and that, but I be feeling like I ain't.
You're not complete.
I ain't complete.
But don't never feel like you're like that. I think we've lost sight of that. A lot of dads, we have shunned away from the church because we feel like a lot of times the church has been just a mechanism, a machine to put money into and to give false hope. But we also have to think that the temple, we are the temple.
Mm-hmm.
When you get up every morning, I bend them knees.
Yeah.
I take time out and I give a prayer, and I go in, I get myself together, I kiss my wife, and my wife cover me every day. I lead out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think just learning that, you know, my brother on here tour, he and I, you know, his mom and daddy prayed over me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in a situation where I didn't know which way I was gonna turn. I didn't know I was locked down. I'm locked down in the county jail. I was looking at 6 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Judge Green told me, hey, you know what? Can you do 6 months? I told him, let's ride. But I was locked down, solitary confinement, 37 days, 29 days, and 42 days.
Dang.
So 23 hours a day in the cell, 30 minutes out to take a shower, and 30 minutes out to read the newspaper. But his family took me in, and I felt like I had lost like almost 90 pounds. But just the fact that they prayed over me, Miss Lois Johnson and Michael Johnson, and they prayed over me so well, and they kept me in their home until I got myself together and I left and went to Atlanta. I took the time out. My mama gave me some money, and I went to Atlanta, and I did well for myself. I recently came back to take care of my mother. My mother had some health issues, but I came back, and he was like, don't never lose sight of prayer. I was like, Mom, I said, but I don't know how to pray. But they was like, you do know how to pray. Bend them knees. God's still in the answering business. Bend them knees. Never be too honored where you can't get on them knees and bend them knees to pray. And me growing up in the church, I kind of revolt against that. I kind of like, hey, my grandma was an evangelist. I grew up in this little place called Liberty Hill. Up by Santa Fe. As a matter of fact, it was the movie plot for The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. But I struggle with that because I'm like, if I'm a child of God, God gonna let me know it. But God sometimes humbly gonna teach you to, hey, go sit down, boy. I done gave you enough courage. I'm out here shooting in the streets. I'm out here wilding, doing all type of unfoolishness. God sat my ass down. And I had to learn that. And I had to get back to a form of Christianity and find my place and where I can be. I can't be a pastor. If I'm going to be a pastor, I'm going to be the outreach pastor. The way my mom said, I'm going to be the outreach pastor. But, but, you know, I'm like, hey, you're not going to just come in here. You know, it's a place for me to learn and to understand that I matter too. I'm valuable. And it's like we as black men, they tell you you can't pray. You gotta show your chest all the time. You know, alpha meets alpha. But I know it's some omegas too. I know some soft ass niggas too. So, and it's just being real. Yeah. You know, everybody can't be an alpha.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, but in this world now, we just have to have a more training, and I think we've gotten away from just the fact that we need to have more humility. There's no more there's no more humility. Everybody's so, I came out the womb like this. It's never that. You know, we need to have have accountability as well too. We need to have some compassion towards each other because everybody ain't gonna have $1,000.
For real.
Neat. Everybody ain't gonna have that. So you know, you have to take the time and say, well, listen. You're gonna have to help somebody. If you had to choose somebody, black, white, whoever it may be, we uplifting other people. Why can't we uplift our people who look like us and for us? Those things are important as well too.
That's real. That's real, man. And like you say, you know, that's the one thing that I always come back to. You know, when I do get in these places like this, it's like I ain't praying enough. You know, and a lot of times I ain't even talking with the support group that I have, you know. Yes. I ain't talking with my brothers, I ain't calling, you know, and I just be in this place where I'm just by myself. And, you know, and I say this to anybody else out there, you know, that's one of the worst places to be in when, you know you got all this stuff going on mentally and internally, but you trying to fight this thing by yourself. We were not made to fight this stuff by ourselves.
Yes.
That's why we have, you know, for us that have wives. That's why we have a wife. That's why we have, you know, a dad. That's why we have a mom. That's why we have, you know, uncles and brothers and sisters. You gotta have somebody in your corner that you can talk to and when you have those people, you got to be willing to go to them. You can't be afraid. You know, at times, you know I feel like I don't want to put this on nobody else. you know, like they ain't got time to be dealing with me, but people be willing to.
Yes.
Like really be willing to. So, you know, like don't get in that place. And that's something that every now and then, you know, I get in these little places where I'm just like, just to myself. I ain't really trying to talk. You know, just thinking, I got it. You know, trying to be strong, quote unquote strong. But it's like, you ain't got to be that. Like, that's the pride.
Yeah.
That's the pride. When you talk about the humility, when you can humble yourself and say, nah, I can't deal with this by myself.
Yeah. But it's a genuine thing for me. Like, even like my big cousin Moonin. There's times when I know, you know, he has struggled to do things, and he's always wanted to do more. He's always wanted to. He's always been there. I could pick up the phone and call him. I don't give a damn. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Because if you need me, call me. He one of them type people. Don't never be too arrogant or too prideful to say, well, I can't pick up the phone and you finna blow your damn brains out. Mm-hmm. I think that's why a lot of times we would leave the club at night, or we'll go somewhere to eat, or we'll go to Denny's, or we'll go to IHOP or Waffle House. You know, we always say, "Cuz, don't never pick up the phone," and I appreciate them for that. You know, but we've been taught so and demoralized to say, "Well, hey, no, you don't need nobody. You don't need nobody." That's not it. That's not true. That's a lie. That's a fallacy. Mm-hmm. That's never been correct.
Straight up, that's real, man. Shout out to all the people out there, man, that got somebody's back, man. You know, y'all be the real MVPs for real. You know, because it definitely get real out here sometimes. You know, for dads and for fathers. You know, for people that's trying to do right. You know, it's a struggle at times, but shout out to all the people that's willing to be there for another person, man.
Oh yeah.
I got a couple more questions, man.
Right.
I just want to ask you this. Give me what's that one thing, you know, I know that you've been through a divorce, and now you married again. Give me that one thing that you could do to maintain a healthy marriage. What would you say to a person out there thinking about getting married, or a person that is married and trying to hold on? Like, what's that one thing that you do to make sure that you keep a healthy marriage?
Transparency. In any relationship, you have to have a sense of transparency, complete transparency. Like, when you go into these relationships, these Facebook relationships, they're not built in that. I know if I lose everything today or tomorrow, I'm straight, because I've given everything that needed to be given. Like my lady, when I came to her, she told me straight up, she's like, "Oh, you ain't going nowhere." And I'm like, girl, bye. But then I look at them like, hey, women need to understand that when you go into a marriage, there's no lies, there's no secrets, there ain't no bonus babies, that you can honestly be there for her. Your loyalty means everything to her. She can feed herself. She independent. I know a bunch of nurse practitioners, women, CNAs. I know a bunch of women who can finance themselves. All they ask you for is their loyalty. And I be like, these niggas out here lying for no reason. They out here. Is it a notebook with lies that they practice? Like what's going on? Because these women, we've almost become the new minority. These women can feed themselves. They can finance themselves. They put themselves to school. They raising their own children. Like, what do they need you for? So if she doing all this, like, what do you bring to the table? Like I told my wife, I can buy the table and I can build a table. I don't need you. She said, you arrogant as hell. But my thing is, that's the way I'm built. Them niggas in Sugar Hill and Southside made me arrogant. We built different. And I tell them all the time, but just the fact that I've learned to humble myself. Baby, you know what? Let me take you out to dinner. Hey, the kids are gone today. Let's slow drag tonight. Make those quiet times and those quintessential moments have a long lasting purpose. Because all the time it's gonna be days that you ain't gonna understand. But you just have to keep that door open and always say, listen, you know what? I choose to put you first. You're the priority, not the option.
Yeah.
You're never the option. You're always the priority. And I think that's we as black men have got away from. We putting cars, rims, other dogs, other shit ahead of time. But the woman you need at home is feeling detached and lonely, and she doesn't understand why she has gotten the bag and the stick. She help you raise your children, help you with your mother. She help you build your business. She help you doing that. But your homeboys and hanging out the streets is more better. It don't work like that. You need that. You need that foundation in your marriage to where you want to move forward and going forward always.
Oh yeah, that's real. Hey y'all, listen, that's free game right there. That's free game. If you don't take it, that's on you. Yeah. But that's game. That's game, man. That's real. If you had the opportunity, man, to sit down just like me and you doing right now with the 18-year-old you, knowing everything you know right now at this age, if you could sit down with that young man and look that version of Ced in the face, if you could just tell him one thing going forward in his life, what would you tell him?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm actually sorry. I couldn't read it one time. I was one of those kids who said I people put so many pieces for you. Oh, this is my baby, this is my golden child, but I couldn't read. But I had a older lady. Her name was Thelma Mosley. She was an educator at Purview Elementary, and this lady was she would take time with me, and she made me go every day. Her and another lady, her name is Linda London. She was my librarian at Buelks High School. She got a son named Steve, but those two women were so quintessential in making me understand that my life extended more than the hood. I learned about this place called Lynch Park, right across the street from the homeless shelter, where they hung 3 niggas and a woman, about 2 chickens and a pig. Knowing your history in Gainesville, I learned about knowing what other islands were, where black people developed from, Tobago, Tonga, Liberia, Ethiopia. These places where people of color were, we are the DNA of certain things. I understood that outside the United States that black people existed and they blossomed. We didn't need white. We were great where we were at as people of color. It was white people that bothered us. We didn't need them. And it may sound a little proactive of Michael from Good Times, but we didn't need white people bothering us because we were rich. We were rich beyond dreams. We had gold. We had education. People would travel. Our black ancestors would go to places like Songhai, and they would have, if you were a knowledge traveler, you would have gold earrings. And when you traveled and seen a certain library, they would give you jewels to put on your earrings because they saw that you were a traveler of knowledge and you had been to these certain places. So those things and those teachings of those black women and educators just took me beyond the road. I would read an encyclopedia a week. My grandparents asked me for toys, and then I want toys. I said I want an encyclopedia, so my grandparents bought an encyclopedia set. So that's where I spent my time at reading, because I felt like once I knew that, there's no place I could go. And then I learned to move. I learned to things, and then I had a click. I got out in the streets. I got fascinated with money. Them Trues and Vows, Brazen and Cadillac. Them $413 tires. I got them Craigler rims. I wanted that money.
Yeah.
So I got off track, and that person lost sight of themselves. So I would apologize to Cedric and tell Cedric, you know what? I'm sorry, because you had so much potential to do more, and you knew that, but you saw things that were really, let's say, in the mirror, not as they appear to be. I was going to things that not as they appear to be. I saw that. And I still ignored it. So I would apologize myself sincerely.
That's real. That's real, man. Last question here, bro. If there's any fathers out there listening right now, what would be one piece of advice that you give to a father, young father, old father, anything, what? Just give the fathers out there just a piece of advice going forward for themselves, something that you would tell them, advise them.
Young fathers, money does not equate to time. The time that you spend with your children can never equate to any form of currency, Bitcoin, or anything. So take time out with your children, especially your daughters in this time. These same men who are looking at you, seeing your daughter raised up, are the same predatory scum that are looking to sleep with your daughter. So long as she has a father, keep her close. Older. If you're an older gentleman, take time out with your daughter. I don't care if it's once a month, twice a month, once a week. Take time out with your daughter and spend time with her and see how she is and see if she feels beautiful. Make sure you hold her up high. My bonus daughter, I love her to death. I tell her all the time, you know what? She a little arrogant and cocky, but I tell her, you fit right in.
Yeah.
But she, I tell her I love her, and I tell her that she's gorgeous and she's beautiful. Even my oldest girls, I love them to death because they were my like first broke best friends. But I love them to death. But it still means much that I see them and I touch them, I put my hands on them, I hug them, because with this time, this COVID, cancer, and all these things going on, Gainesville been having all these shootings. Like I want to make sure that they know that I love them.
Straight up.
And I think that's very important as a father. And we overlook so many different things. We'll give forgiveness for everybody else, but we won't take the time out. I seen a nigga ride by his children. His child was sitting in the rain with no jacket, but he got the new chick he with in the car with her kids driving by. So I picked the kid up, took the kid to the store, bought a jacket from Kohl's, and I gave him the business. I called him everything but child of God. I wanted him to fight me. I said, your baby going to school with flip-flops on, and it's raining outside, and it's cold around the fair time. You know how it get.
All right.
But you in the car, you in the pilot with her, taking her to work, taking her kids to school, and you ain't think about your own child.
Damn.
But that baby remember that. That baby gonna remember that always. And think about it, when the tables turn, say God is in the business of turning tables. And he said the meek shall inherit the earth. So when the tables turn, when you get sick or something happen to you, you're gonna need that child.
Straight up.
Thank you.
Straight up. Y'all listen, man. My dog handing out the free 99 game. So yeah, man. Hey, listen, my boy. That was real.
Hey, I couldn't do it no better than that, man.
For real, man. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate you, dog, for what you do. For blessing the show, man. I already knew it was going to be real. I already knew that, that ain't no surprise for me. But, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you for taking time out your schedule, bro.
Oh, man, listen, when you told me I was coming, man, I said, I got to be here. I-75 can't hold me. As soon as I got the call, I said, I'm coming. I'm going to be here.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real, man.
And, man, shout out to my folks that came on. Neat. Ursula, what's going on? Cousin Mooney, all my big partners, man. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Yes, sir, man. Shout out to my dog, Danky. Hey, Danky, boy. Hey, I'm still waiting for you. I've been trying to get my dog on for a minute,
Tell him to bring some of them garlic crabs. They'll be looking so good.
Whenever you get time in your schedule, my boy, and you in the city, please hit me up, man, because we gotta get together, man. I've been talking with my dog about, some stuff, and y'all just wait till y'all hear his story, man. It's gonna get real. But
very moving, young man. Very moving, young man.
Shout out to my dog, Danky Banks. I love you, my boy. And for all my other supporters out there, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, for continuing to support the podcast. Shout out to all my brothers out there, man.
QH-Town.
Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. And we gonna keep this thing pushing, man. Dad, Can We Talk is more than just a podcast, man. It's a movement out here. So we're going to keep doing what we do best, which is standing up for fatherhood, supporting fatherhood. We're going to put on for this. We're going to make fatherhood look good, regardless of what anybody else say and what the narrative has been in the media for so long. We changing that narrative,
Always speaking progressive powers over our children.
Straight up. All that. So, hey man, y'all be able to find this on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, dadcanwetalk.com, and y'all follow on Facebook for the link. I'll be posting it on Facebook. You can go to my Instagram. On Instagram at dadcanwetalk, we have I have my link in the bio where you can find out how you can find the podcast. If you go to that link tree, you'll be able to find everywhere the podcast is posted. So, yeah, man, we appreciate y'all. It's Dad Can We Talk? We out here.